In a stunning diplomatic twist, U.S. President Donald Trump has made a huge retreat from his earlier hardline stance on another Latin American nation, Colombia. After abducting the Venezuelan president, Trump had threatened Colombian leader Petro, warning him of a Maduro-like fate. But in a huge U-turn, Trump not only held a phone call with Petro, but also extended an invitation to the Colombian leader for the White House meeting. Trump took to social media to describe his phone call with Colombian President Gustavo Petro as friendly and constructive. The U.S. president added he looked forward to meeting him soon at the White House. The conciliatory message marked a dramatic reversal from remarks Trump made over the weekend when he described Colombia as very sick too and accused Petro of making cocaine and selling it to the United States. He at the same time suggested U.S. intervention sounds good to Trump. That harsh rhetoric came after Petro criticized the U.S. military raid that saw the abduction of Venezuela's president and his wife from Caracas. Petro had described the abduction as an abhorrent violation of Latin American sovereignty and likening it to a spectacle of death. In Bogotá, Petro addressed thousands of protesters who had rallied against U.S. threats and confirmed that he held a discussion about Venezuela and drug trafficking issues with Trump during a roughly hour-long call.
And just today we spoke on the telephone for the very first time since he officially became president of the country.
Obviously, I was a bit anxious about it. I was late getting here because the call only ended right before I arrived.
It lasted for approximately about an hour or even more. And during the course of our extensive conversation, I carefully brought up two significant topics. Just to keep it relatively brief, I explicitly told him, and I also made a very specific and important request, that direct and open communications between the respective foreign ministries and the presidents themselves be immediately and fully restored. Furthermore, I also spoke just 2 days ago with the current and sitting president in Venezuela, Delcy. I have known her since the very beginning of all this. I invited her to beautiful Colombia, and we want to establish a comprehensive tripartite and hopefully truly global dialogue to achieve lasting stability.
Relations between Washington and Bogotá have been strained for months. The Trump administration previously sanctioned Petro, his family, and associates over alleged links to the global drug trade. Accusations Petro vehemently denies, and which experts say lack evidence. Colombia has also faced U.S. pressure over coca cultivation and trafficking. A move that cut key American assistance was added to a list of countries deemed uncooperative in the drug war for the first time in almost 30 years. Yet despite past tension, both leaders now appear to be seeking a reset, with Trump emphasizing the positive tone of the call and Petro publicly welcoming dialogue. The unexpected turn comes amid a broader regional upheaval triggered by the U.S. capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. Meanwhile, hundreds marched in the Colombian city of Cúcuta on the border with Venezuela to protest the U.S. attack. The demonstrations was part of nationwide protests being held in cities across the country following calls by the government to rally against the U.S. operation. Similar visuals were seen in Bogotá and Medellín, where people took to the streets to reject threats by Trump against Colombia.
And today, Colombia marches to set a political precedent that we do not need, in Colombia or in Latin America, any intervention from the United States for the transformation and freedom they claim to offer us. We are tired of colonialism in Colombia, and that is why today our mobilization is for social transformation and for the freedom of historically oppressed peoples.
An act has been carried out that we never thought would happen in Latin America, much less in our neighboring and brother country of Venezuela. There comes a point when I feel they touch the very core of our homeland. What is happening with the United States is inconceivable. In all my life, in all the years I have lived, I have never seen so many insults from a president of the United States toward a president of Colombia. This is, forgive the expression, disgraceful, and we cannot allow it. Today's meeting, this mobilization, serves those two objectives. First, the struggle for national sovereignty, for the fight for democracy, and in solidarity with the government and people of Venezuela.
I'm at this march to support and defend our president, Gustavo Petro, and also to defend President Maduro so they don't invade our country.
Colombia is considered the epicenter of the world's cocaine trade. Yet for decades, it has also been one of Washington's closest allies in Latin America, a cornerstone of America's global counter-narcotics strategy. For more than 30 years, the United States has worked hand-in-hand with Colombia, the world's largest cocaine producer, to hunt drug traffickers, combat rebel groups, and stabilize rural regions. A complex relationship that many viewers may recognize from pop culture, practically immortalized in the hit series Narcos. But despite that long partnership, relations had been deteriorating well before President Trump's conciliatory message. Tensions escalated sharply in October when the Trump administration imposed sanctions on President Gustavo Petro, members of his family, and officials in his government, accusing them of links to the global drug trade. Accusations Petro vehemently denies, and which experts say lack evidence.